Hey there, friends. I just saw where Bucky Fuller was praising the guy who did Watts Towers. Watts Towers. I've only just found out about Watts Towers. Let's just go to Flickr. But what I'm going to do mostly here is make my head get big and show you something about C60, because our theme here has been lattices, and in particular the 90-degree pattern that we can still use and think about that's not going anywhere, etc. Last video I was wandering down division. I didn't go very far. I stayed in a very close radius to sort of a center point. I was talking about place-based education. I'm scrolling back through some pictures I took at Glenn's, and I want to pause here. This is a letter about Watts Towers, City of Los Angeles, finding it really cool. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I probably know less about it than you do, actually. Let me just take a couple looks at it, and then we'll do the C60 thing. So Glenn just has found a book on this place, right? So it looks so gaudy, right? But it's this one guy who, in all his spare time, built this amazing structure on a corner property all by hand, and it's like a great wonder. Okay, so I would like to visit this place someday, but in the meantime, this would be a great topic for like VR tours and stuff. If you're putting on VR glasses and you want to walk around Watts Towers, that's what it's called. I don't have the thing to do that. And regarding C60, I'm going to put us on a picture that I think helps us think about what this is all about. This is not a sales pitch. It's not run out and buy this, but it's assuming you have it already. And if you don't, just watch the pictures and don't worry about it. But here it is. One of the tricks when you're putting this together is to find the C60 logo and only do rabbit ears at that point. In other words, you always want your two struts. I'm going to get a couple struts on the floor here. So when I say strut, I mean this kind of thing for this version of Flextegrity. All Flextegrities pretty much feature, like, for example, here's another version, I would say, of C60, but in a different substance. This is solid copper. You could have solid steel, solid aluminum. This is a plastic, right? So the substance itself does not define what C60 is. It's just you're free to make it of all substances. But the basic idea is the same, pretty much, going through them all. Variations on a theme, except for the florets. We'll talk about them some other time. So I just have to put this in and turn, and then put this one in as a rabbit ear across the logo. So you're right across the logo, so 180 degrees across the logo. Do yourself some rabbit ears, and there we go. So you can think of it as kind of two ears sticking off at 90 degrees, but now these are going to hold pods or balls on their tips and so on. You're going to get another pair as you find the other logos and get more rabbit ears. And what you're going to get is a pleasing XYZ pattern. Remember the tetrahedron, the regular tetrahedron. What do you know about that? Opposite edges are perpendicular. They don't intersect, they're skew. But every pair of tetrahedron axes are... So this is like a workshop setting, okay? So imagine you're in a room where everyone's doing this. And the question is why? Why are we doing this? And the answer is partly just dexterity. It's just like any toy in that regard. Why do we have this, mother? What is this? Why do we care? And it's like, well, children, we wish to develop in you the competence to assemble things. Assembling things is part of what adults do in their lives. And I think something we don't do as much anymore is assemble. And so that's part of the part of the thing. We think of that as, well, robots should assemble or something. Kind of the pioneer spirit. Assemble it yourself. You know, it's already made. You just have to like put A into B. But people hate following detailed instructions that way. If it's not intuitive, and it's so frustrating when you do the whole thing and realize you probably have to start over or whatever. Anyway, this is a DIY experience right here, and you're getting the picture, right? We're getting, so we already have this, you can sense how it's held in place, you know, and you can put ladders here. So somebody lives in this and they go climbing up, climbing down, because it's underwater maybe. Maybe you can just swim in and out of these things. Maybe it's really small and these are sort of translucent housings for tiny powerful lights, and the circuitry can run through these rods. So you see how I keep changing the picture. It's still the same or it's still flextegrity. So this is all coming from the graphene. I say the graphene, I'll have to get a picture of that was leaning up against my wall. I don't have my Allen wrench. Nah. What I'll do is cut and come back with the completed model. So like a cooking show. Let's just pause recording. Okay, so I got the right amount of supplies, enough supplies, and here's the thing in its full, decked out with all the struts, right? And so all of these are handholds or hands to a neighboring ball. So it was very surrounded, very dense neighborhood, and very mutually perpendicular, very XYZ. So that was a topic in the previous video, and I wanted to just reinforce that with some more visuals.